Kia ora.
Good evening.
Welcome to Bay 3 News. I'm Sam Jackson.
And I'm Caitlin Ward. On tonight's news we have further updates on the conditions in the South Island, a story about a close call for a school as a tornado bears down upon them, and the quick thinking of a teacher that saved the students. Also an out-of-control granny that has rained havoc upon Auckland motorists on nights of a full moon. But first up, a rundown of the polar conditions that have gripped the South Island, leading to chaos on the roads and putting paid to the holiday plans of thousands as airports are closed.
The heaviest snowfall seen in New Zealand in at least 16 years has covered the South Island. Roads are closed, power lines are down and skiers are trapped, creating chaos across the region. Queenstown, Dunedin and Christchurch airports have been forced to close due to heavy snow and ice. Flights are cancelled and travellers are stranded without any indication of when they'll fly again. Residents are being told to stay off the roads as black ice has caused numerous accidents and already stretched emergency services are unable to cope with the added pressure. Farmers are especially worried as this is the busiest time for lambing and large numbers of newborns are predicted to perish in the freezing conditions. Shortly we will cross to our reporter Sebastian Simpson, who is live with Cameron Matthews, a farmer in the Canterbury High Country. But before that, we will check with our weather guru, Connor Cleary, to find out why the South Island is gripped by these freezing conditions. Connor, why are we having such extreme weather conditions?
Yes, well, Sam, we are under a bit of pressure at the moment, and the problem is this low front sitting just over the South Island. It is bringing icy, polar winds up from Antarctica. Unfortunately, folks, this is going to stay around for a few days, so keep those fires burning and stay off the roads. More details later in our weather update. Back to you, Sam.
We'll cross to Connor a little later, but first over to a freezing Sebastian Simpson, who is with local farmer Cameron Matthews. Greetings, Seb. I can see you're trying to keep warm there.
Hey guys, I'm here with Cameron Matthews, who's been farming here all his life. So Cameron, have you ever seen the weather so cold and the snow so deep?
Well, we'd always expect snow during the winter. This has certainly come earlier than we thought it would.
What are the major problems you're experiencing at the moment?
It's the stock losses. We're in the middle of lambing at the moment, and I've already picked up hundreds of dead lambs. That's our replacement stock gone. Also, the ewes, they lose condition pretty quick, so we have to keep them well fed and in sheltered paddocks.
How are you able to keep them well fed?
We're having to feed out hay that we stocked later for the season. The snow is so deep that the sheep can't dig through it. It also kills the grass, so nothing will grow in the spring. We had our tractor cut in a couple of times, but the snow wasn't so bad.
How are your family coping at home?
The kids first had fun making snowmen and tobogganing. The lack of electricity is beginning to take its toll.
When are you expecting the power to be restored?
Unsure. Last year I was out for 10 days. The snow wasn't so bad then. This year it's been out for 3 days already, but we're just lucky we have a great wood burner, so we're able to cook in it. And we're all camping in the lounge to keep warm.
We all hope you get some good news soon. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks so much for that, Sebastian. The South Island is not alone, however, with the reminders Mother Nature is putting before them. Auckland is also reminded of the unpredictability and fury that can be swiftly inflicted by the elements. As we reported last Friday night, a small earthquake registering 2.9 on the Richter scale rocked New Zealand's largest city. Although no damage was reported, it certainly gave Aucklanders a wake-up call. It was reported to come from a previously thought extinct fault line, the North Wairoa Fault, running beneath the Hunua Ranges. Once again, Auckland has seen previously unthinkable weather, although not of the same severity as the Albany tornado that hit earlier this year, causing one man to lose his life. Once again, without warning, unprotected weather has been seen. A tornado has hit the small settlement of Bombay, south of Auckland. It began with dark clouds that combined together, gathering intensity and tearing through the glasshouses near the Bombay Service Centre. It gathered speed, turned right and headed up the hill toward the local school. Luckily, it eventually ran out of steam over the local rugby club, nearly a kilometre away and only metres from Bombay School. Although no damage was reported and most students were unaware of what was looming toward them, it was frightening for local teacher Mrs. Hughes, who was watching the tornado's path from the safety of her classroom. Thinking of what could happen, Mrs. Hughes worked hard to keep her students calm. We cross live now to Bombay School, where our reporter Bradley Guy Taylor is standing with Mrs. Hughes after her frightening ordeal. Over to you, Bradley.
Thank you, Caitlin. Yes, I am here with Sharon Hughes, teacher of Year 4s at Bombay School. Mrs. Hughes was watching some strange-looking clouds forming into a funnel when wind swept up and a tornado looked threatening. Mrs. Hughes, how did you react with a class full of students?
I saw what I thought was a tornado, but unfortunately so did some of my dear students. My main aim was to keep calm and think that that'd be the safest. I kept saying things are fine and it was not a tornado, and I hoped it would not come any closer.
Are you sure nobody was in any danger?
No, the winds were very high and the sky was black. It was very strange weather. But when I saw the tornado veer off towards the rugby club, I knew we were going to be okay. But it did get me thinking what we should do in the event a tornado did hit the school.
Are there any precautions you have had to put into place because of this close call?
Yes, we have drills for fire and earthquakes. Now we have a tornado drill. When students hear short, continuous rings, they must get under desks and away from windows. They must stay here until they hear the all-clear ring. We hope we don't have to do this in a real emergency.
Well, we certainly hope they never have a real emergency either. But with the recent earthquake in Auckland, who can be so sure? Better be prepared. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you for that. The weather is certainly being unpredictable at the moment. On to our next story, which provided a mystery for County's Manukau Police.
When the full moon comes out, so does 72-year-old Adele Papetree, known as Out of Control Granny. It seems every full moon Adele falls under a mysterious trance, leaving the security of her retirement home and starting the 40-year-old VW Beetle, setting off to wreak havoc on State Highway 1. Detective Bruce Cummin from County's Manukau Police noticed the trend with the occurrence of the full moon and increase in accidents caused by the now notorious Beetle Basher. A plan was set and Mrs. Papetree fell into the trap. Officers could not believe their eyes but nonetheless took Mrs. Papetree into custody. No charges were laid when Mrs. Papetree surrendered her keys and promised never to get behind the wheel of a car. I'm afraid the most excitement she will have now on a full moon is a cup of tea and an episode of Shaun Street. We cross now to our reporter Melissa Gordon, who is speaking with Adele Papetree about these bizarre happenings.
Thank you, Sam. Yes, I'm here with Adele Papetree, Out of Control Granny. Welcome, Mrs. Papetree. Do you mind if I call you Adele?
Yes, that's fine, dear.
Adele, how did a sweet, lovely lady like yourself become such a tyrant on the roads?
Well, I don't really know, dear. I just thought I really needed to go for a drive. Once I was on the motorway, well, I just kept thinking I was back in my childhood on the Dodgems at the Easter show. I really liked the Dodgems, you know. I was such a good driver.
Yes, but Adele, didn't you see any of the cars you crashed into? Didn't it feel different being in a Dodgem car?
Oh, dear, my little Beetle was so strong, hardly a dent, just like the Dodgem I used to drive. I used to win all the rounds at the Dodgems, just like being on the motorway. I won those too. Yes, I'm a good driver.
But Adele, why was it that you only came out on full moons? Was it the full moon that influenced your driving?
What was that, dear? You need to speak up. I can't hear you.
Sorry, was it the full moon that influenced your driving?
Ah, the light of the moon. It was so I could see, dear. With my poor old eyes, I needed it to be light so I could find my car and drive down the driveway without the staff seeing me. I didn't put my lights on until I was on the road. Then all the lights on the motorway. Well, it reminded me of the Dodgems I used to drive. Have I told you I used to drive Dodgems?
Yes, you did, Adele. Now, how did you feel when you saw the police car lights and Detective Bruce Carmen arrest you?
Oh, Detective Carmen. Such a nice young man. So handsome. He was very kind for taking me for a ride in his car. He didn't put the lights on, though. Gave me a cup of tea and listened to my story about what a good driver of Georgians I was. Would you like me to show you?
No, thanks, Adele. We've actually run out of time. Back to you now in the studio, Sam.
Thanks for that, Melissa. We need to catch up with Connor now and find out the latest on the weather front. Over to you, Connor.
Well, Sam, the temperatures throughout the country today were certainly very low. Single figures from Cape Reinga to Bluff. Well, folks, we are starting the weather in the winter south tonight. Invercargill, your high today was an icy 4 degrees. With that wind coming in, you're at the moment sitting on 2 degrees, dropping to -2 degrees overnight. So wrap up warm. Tomorrow looks much of the same, I'm afraid. Dunedin, you rose to a high of 4 degrees today. But since lunch, with that dumping of snow, 20 centimetres in fact, you are at present sitting at 0, with the night's temperature expected to be -2 degrees also. Better news tomorrow though. You should reach 5 degrees. Skiers in Queenstown will be happy. Those freezing temperatures of 0 overnight will make way for more snow and a high of 2 degrees tomorrow, the same high you reached today. Come in Christchurch. You have been snowbound all day with a fresh dumping around lunchtime. That kept your high to a big fat 0, and tomorrow looks much of the same. Snuggle up tonight as -3 degrees is what you can expect. Wellington City, the chilly capital, with those icy showers bringing with it the wind chill and a shivering -2 degrees at the moment. Below today's high of 0. Looks like the same overnight. Tomorrow the news is slightly better. You should reach 2 degrees. Napier and Hastings are both presently sitting at 8 degrees, down slightly from your high of 10 degrees today. Tomorrow those icy showers will be back again, looking like a high of 8 degrees. Moving on to Tauranga. Greetings guys. You had a chilly start this morning with 3 degrees, which then climbed to a high of 8. Tonight another cold one, just 2 degrees. Good news for you tomorrow though. You should see some sun and your high will be a warm 11 degrees. Come in Auckland. You have had a cold one. A high of only 7 degrees, dropping to 2 degrees tonight. I'm afraid tomorrow is not looking the warmest, still single digits with a high of 9 degrees. And to the tropical north, where Whangarei had the country's high of 11 degrees. This dropped quickly around 3 p.m. when a nasty band of cold rain stormed in, making temperatures plummet to 5 degrees. You will stay the same overnight, but tomorrow those rain showers will be back and the temperatures will reach a high of 10 degrees. Well, much of the same for tomorrow and for the next few days. Sorry folks, so my pick of places to be: a tropical island, sand, sea, sunshine and warm temperatures. Well, that's all from me now. Stay warm and dry and I'll spot you for tomorrow. Back to you, Sam and Caitlin.
Thanks for that, Connor. We now have a very special guest on our item, 2 Minutes With, celebrating his 50th birthday today, is US President Barack Obama, who has kindly accepted an invitation to speak with Hannah May about his birthday, but also the credit crisis. Over to you, Hannah May.
Thank you, Caitlin. I'm Hannah May, and today, influential men in the world. Tonight's 2 Minutes is with US President Barack Obama. Greetings, Presidents, and may I wish you a very happy birthday.
Well, I must say it has been a lot of fuss over one birthday.
May I ask you, President Obama, how did you celebrate your birthday?
Well, the most important thing is to spend it with your family, so that's what I did. Close friends and family. I did, however, choose to have a hamburger for lunch. That is usually something I avoid eating, but it is my birthday.
Of course. You had one thing that marred your birthday, though, the huge debt crisis. How are you going to tackle this?
Well, I just want to say that I'm going to do whatever is necessary for my fellow Americans. But I do have a plan to help the struggles the middle class face with taxes. The plan increases taxes for the wealthy and businesses who have too long prospered while the rest of America has struggled. The choice we face now is the choice between more of the same policies that have widened the inequality, added to our debt and shaken the foundation of our economy, or change that will restore balance to our economy to fuel up a bottom-up prosperity to keep America strong and competitive in the 21st century.
You were elected on the campaign of hope and change. What hope and change do you see for the future of the United States?
I believe America has a very bright future. We just have to follow the plans I have put in place. It is the most powerful and influential country in the world, and we lead the way for others to follow.
We must lead the way through this current crisis too. Markets will rise and fall, but this is the United States of America, and we will come through this, wiser and stronger. Let me just share a little quote with you that comes from an exceptional man, Nelson Mandela, who gives hope for the future. It always seems impossible until it is done. It always seems impossible until it is done.
Well, President Obama, thank you very much for joining us on the very special occasion of your birthday. This has been 2 Minutes with me, Hannah May Hall. Back to the news desk with Caitlin and Sam.
Thanks, Hannah May. We all wish President Obama the very happiest of birthdays. A little light relief in a very otherwise very tense time.
Just to recap tonight's news, we had the story of the wintry blast that has covered the South Island, causing havoc for travellers and commuters alike. Farmers are having to feed out precious hay to prevent stock from dying. Predictions of heavy stock losses are forecast, especially with newborn lambs.
Strange weather was also seen in Auckland with a tornado threatening a school. The quick thinking of a teacher saving her students. Auckland also rattled with a small earthquake.
And lastly, the solving of a mystery which only occurs during a full moon. The Beetle Basher, who had terrified late-night commuters, was caught. Astonished, police found the culprit was 72-year-old Adele Papertree, who's now been forbidden for driving, and motorists can breathe a sigh of relief.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. We'll see you next time.
From the whole team at Bay 3 News,
Goodbye.
bye.
E no hurrah.
Hurrah.